It is the day before Christmas Eve as I am recording this, and so naturally I wanted to talk about something pretty Christmassy, and that is the latest chapter of One Piece. Now I know what you might be thinking, Tom, what are you talking about? One Piece isn't a Christmas thing. And to that I say, consider this. It has a reindeer in it. Checkmate, haters. But yes, so chapter 1134 came out yesterday, and I thought I'd just talk about it. This isn't really going to be a deep dive, review kind of thing, more of just a rambling yap session. And in the interest of setting expectations, I should say now, I'm not necessarily going to have the bandwidth to do a chapter review or a chapter recap for every single chapter that comes out. I am, after all, one person, and this channel is held together by duct tape, iMovie, and a dream. But I am thoroughly enjoying this Elbaf arc so far, and I wanted to talk about it, so that's what we're doing here today. I'll talk mainly about the latest chapter, maybe sprinkle in some thoughts on the overall arc as we go. Chapter 1134, The Owl Library. Right away, I love this opening scene of Luffy thanking Saul, doing his little faux formal speech, whatever he's doing here. And that really gave me a good laugh right from page one. Look at my boy being all serious. Saul thanking the rest of the crew, that's just... My heart, man, my heart can't take this. Just some good, wholesome content right at the start of this, continuing on from the previous chapter, which had, of course, the Robin and Saul reunion, which was also just doing a lot of damage to my heart, but in a good way. It's the old good heart damage, you see. You see, Doctor? And in the same boat, it's just so nice to see Robin being so happy in these chapters. It is just melting my heart. I'm just so happy for her. She really deserves a break and a really nice time after all that she's been through. She deserves this. There are some beautiful panels throughout this chapter. To begin with, the opening colour spread. Really nice to see Frankie front and centre in this. It's just a really cool spread, first of all, but feels particularly good considering the sad news about Frankie's voice actor stepping away from the show. In addition, we get the panel of the Walrus School, we get the panel of the Owl Library itself, both gorgeous panels. I really love both of these, continuing to show us the epic scope and the grandeur of Elbaf and letting us continue to bask in it. Man, don't you just love to bask. And speaking of stunning, we also meet Miss Ripley, who was mentioned a few chapters ago. Whoa, indeed, I'm no better than Sanji. She drops some interesting information, which is that Elbaf has changed over the centuries. It may not quite be this utopic warrior society that Luffy and Usopp have built it up in their heads to be. Things may not be quite as expected for those two, which is the first of a few sort of little ominous drops that we get. This seems to be a turning point chapter. We've had our oohs and our ahs at the start of the adventure, and now it is time to buckle in for the running and the screaming.
Oh yeah, ooh, ah, that's how it always starts. But then later there's running and screaming.
Nothing overtly ominous is happening in the library, but I can't help but be reminded of the last time that Robin and Chopper specifically went to a place full of books, which was at the start of Water 7 when they went to the bookshop together. And suffice to say, things didn't go well when that happened, so I can only hope that things will go better for them this time around. But a part of me wonders if this is a deliberate callback. Side note, I really love the detail of the books just get bigger when they enter the library. That's really fun. But of course, the most ominous stuff in this chapter comes at the end. We get a check-in with Loki, who is having a lovely phone conversation. This, furry winter Den Mushi is delightful. Big fan of this. Not so delightful, however, is the topic of conversation that Loki is having with his mysterious friend on the other end of the phone. Now, they are definitely being quite vague in what they're talking about. It's unclear what the specifics are. It's also unclear who exactly is this Shaggy that Loki is talking to. Now, we have seen Loki share Luffy's penchant for getting names wrong, so this could be someone who has a name similar to Shaggy. My first thought was Shanks, perhaps. Maybe it could also be Shiki, that sounds quite similar. It could be the shadowy figure that we've seen on Elbaf, who many speculate is Shiki. Maybe it's going to be a new character altogether, or maybe we're finally building up to the long-awaited fight that is going to be Luffy in Gear 5 versus Shaggy using more than 1% of his power. Speaking of Shanks, however, something very interesting happens at the very end of this chapter. I don't quite know what's going on, but let's talk about that. It looks like Shanks and an accomplice have teleported into Elbaf with the intent of causing some mischief, or perhaps even, dare I say, ruckus. Crucially, however, that is what it looks like is happening. Whether that is actually what's happening is maybe more ambiguous at this point. Something worth noting is from the angle we are seeing this, we would not be able to see Shanks' eye scar. Here we're looking at the other side of his face. So could it be that this is not Shanks at all, but someone who looks like Shanks, a twin brother perhaps, or some other explanation? Because you have to wonder, if it is Shanks, then what's he doing? Why would he return to Elbaph? I mean, he only just left. And as far as I'm aware, he hasn't hired Zorro as a navigator. So why has he come back? Feels like there's a lot of pieces just sliding into place, and we are moving out of the setup for this arc, and we are about to kick things up a notch and really get into the meat of what this arc is going to be about. So certainly a very ominous note to end the chapter on. I have no idea what kind of ride we are in for after this, but I do know that I am thoroughly looking forward to continuing this adventure. I have been greatly enjoying Elbaf so far, and I suspect I will greatly continue to. So those are my thoughts on chapter 1134 specifically. In terms of Elbaf overall, just in broad strokes, a very weird opening with the Lego World situation. I don't know what to make of that, or to make of Road. I am on the train of thinking that I do think Loki is going to be an antagonist of some sort. I've seen some people say that he's not going to be a villain. I don't know, maybe he won't be as straightforward as an antagonist as your Doflamingo or your Crocodile, but I do think he's going to be antagonistic in some form. I am very curious as well as to what kind of deal he made with Luffy, which we haven't seen, but I'm sure we will. But in general, really enjoying Elbaf. Highlights so far have definitely been just Usopp and Luffy rejoicing that they're finally here after all these years. Robin and Saul's reunion, I think I already said this, but that was just an amazing moment. I think I know it's just happened, but that is a strong contender for one of my favourite moments in the entirety of One Piece. It really is. That moment from last chapter, that really got me. And other than that, I'm just really curious to see where we're going with this, to see what's going to happen next. So yes, as I said, just a bit of a yap session. That was really just wanted to talk about the chapter, wanted to talk about Elbaf. Not a deep dive, just a little dip in the pool, little sauna session about the latest chapter. But I think that's pretty much all I had to say there, so let me know in the comments what you think about the latest chapter. Let me know your thoughts, let me know your theories. I want to get into the theories of what's going on here. Let me know how you're finding the arc so far. If you would be so kind to like and or subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. And all that's left to say is thank you all so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one.